What's up, everybody? Welcome to a bonus episode of Lombardi Time Brews. I'm your host, John Delray. Yes, the NFL schedule has arrived. Unofficially, kinda, sorta. Basically, the NFL was supposed to release its schedule at about 7 o'clock tonight, at least Lambeau time. And then Matt Schneidman this morning, the writer for The Athletic, Packers beat reporter, just woke up this morning and said, nah, screw it. Here it is, and he put it out on Twitter, and apparently he got it from a Packers source, and he just said, I'm going to use all my fancy doodad insider access and just grant it to the Packer fandom early, which means we get to dissect it and talk about it and critique it a little earlier as well. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is just rattle it off. I know this is going to be a lot of reading, but I'm just going to rattle this off for you in order, all 18 weeks, as well as the 3 preseason weeks. Now, the 3 preseason weeks, we don't yet know the order of them. That we probably won't find out until 7 o'clock tonight. But again, it's preseason, so I guess we can wait. But for all 18 weeks, we know the times, the date, and the who they're playing and where for all 18 weeks. Of course, they do have a bye in there as well. And there is a couple of weeks, keep in mind, at the end of the schedule that very well could be flexed per whatever is happening in the entire NFL world at that time. So I'm going to put it up here on the screen. If you're following along on YouTube, that's going to be easiest for you. But we got week 1, September 10th. They are at the Chicago Bears at 3:25. Yes, Jordan Love is going to start his time as the franchise quarterback at Soldier Field, September 10th against the Bears. Week 2, September 17th at the Atlanta Falcons. It's going to be a noon game. Week 3, September 24th, it's going to be at home versus the Saints. A Week 3 home opener for the Packers at Lambeau in a noon game to enjoy the sunshine and beautiful September. Week 4, September 28th, that's going to be versus the Lions on Thursday night football, 7:15 p.m., of course, for Thursday Night Football, of course, on Amazon Prime. Week 5, October 9th. This is at the Las Vegas Raiders for Monday Night Football. I've already seen the chatter about how really, we get to go to Vegas and you put it on a Monday. Sorry, I'm not traveling there personally, but if you're planning on going to Vegas, it's still probably going to need a little bit more time off work to do it. Week 6 then, coming back from Vegas, we have the bye. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more later, but just a quick dissection note. The Packers traveling from west to back home into their bye for a team that historically travels like crap going west. That is a beautiful thing. Week 7, October 22nd, they're going a little bit out west, not as far. They're going to the Broncos, at Broncos, 3:25 game. Week 8, October 29th, it's going to be at home versus the Vikings for a noon game. Week 9, November 5th, that's going to be versus the Los Angeles Rams, noon game at home. Week 10, November 12th, is going to be at the Pittsburgh Steelers, noon game. Week 11, November 19th, versus the Chargers, noon game. That's going to be at home at Lambeau. Week 12, November 23rd, that would be Thanksgiving. They're going to Detroit. Yes, the Green Bay Packers are again appearing on Thanksgiving, playing the Lions. That game is one of the earlier ones. It's 11:30 a.m. Week 13, December 3rd, another primetime game at home versus the Chiefs for Sunday Night Football. Week 14, December 11th, they're going to New York to take on the Giants. Monday Night Football for that one on December 11th. Week 15, December 17th, it's going to be at home against the Bucs. It's a noon game. Week 16, Christmas Eve, December 24th, they're heading to Carolina. They're going to play the Panthers at a noon game. Week 17, December 31st, New Year's Eve, they're heading to Minnesota. They're going to play the Vikings for Sunday Night Football. Now, keep in mind, Week 17, that game could be flexed, so don't plan on popping all the champagne during the Vikings pack. Okay, even if the game is at 10 in the morning and you want to pop that champagne, it's New Year's Eve. You do you. But I'm just saying, that may get flexed. Week 18 then, we don't know the exact date nor the time, but we do know that Week 18 will be at home, closing out the season against the Chicago Bears. And then, of course, for the preseason, they're at the Bengals versus the Patriots versus the Seahawks. We know the Patriots have already agreed to doing joint practices in Green Bay. So in terms of when those exactly are going to go, we don't know that yet, but coming soon. So, as I said, Matt Schneidman released this entire schedule earlier today. It's about 12 hours earlier than he was supposed to, or that the NFL announces anyway. Matt Schneiderman just apparently had the hookup. So I'm led to believe, I mean, with Matt Schneiderman for The Athletic, like, he's extremely reputable. This is going to be the schedule, right? But just keep in mind, I'm going to throw on the one little qualifier that this is not the officially NFL released schedule. So just a tiny little contingency there. So here are my thoughts on the schedule itself. There's only 2 road back-to-backs in amongst that entire schedule. Weeks 1 and 2, where they're at the Bears and at the Falcons, and then weeks 16 and 17, where they're at the Panthers and at the Vikings, basically just for the holidays on the road, that being Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Which means the great thing there is that there's no huge road trips, because even amongst those 2, like they're starting the season in week 1 in Chicago, then you come back to Green Bay, then you fly to Atlanta, you come back to Green Bay. You're only spanning one time zone there. And week 16 and 17, you're at Carolina, and then you're flying home, then you're going at Minnesota, and then you're flying home. So there isn't like this whole like going out to San Francisco on the road, then coming home for just a couple days, and then going to the Giants on the road. There's none of that this year. A lot of their back-to-backs, even a lot of their road games in general aren't that bad, which we knew coming into this exact layout. But still, only having 2 road back-to-backs and having each of them within a reasonable distance should be a very big deal for the Green Bay Packers as they try to achieve some kind of normalcy throughout the course of the season. The only thing that I don't like about the 2 back-to-backs is when in the season they occur. Weeks 1 and 2, all right, fine. I mean, you're home throughout that whole time, basically, of training camp. You're home a ton. Go get on the road to start the year. It's just to not be home until September 24th, week 3, it just feels long. And you know what? Why in the world can't we open the season at Lambeau? It's been years since the Green Bay Packers have actually been able to open the season at Lambeau Field. Why? NFL, I don't get it. So, nonetheless, at Bears, at Falcons, it's week 1 and 2. And then, kind of similarly, at the end of the season, I don't love having 2 away games in December where you're going to be away from Lambeau, especially in a year where the Packers may actually run the ball a little bit more often. And instead, you're going to head to Carolina and head to Minnesota right around the holidays. And I don't love being away over the span of that holiday week. Now, of course, the players, they're going to fly in Christmas Eve night. So they're going to get all day Christmas with their families if they celebrate it. New Year's Eve. And I get it. I'm not saying they're sacrificing their holidays. I'm just saying, on the human element of things, that is quite a bit of travel around that time. And for the team side of things, I don't love not having 2 December games in Lambeau. But if the cost is only having 2 back-to-backs throughout the course of the season, it probably is a worthwhile thing to have. Now, the other thing that I always check on schedules is what's up with the division teams? Where are these matchups? And, well, the Chicago Bears is pretty simple. Open the season, close the season. The Chicago Bears are your bookends. We want to see Jordan Love versus Justin Fields, what could be the QB rivalry in the NFC North Division for a while. And now we're going to get to see it play out on the bookends of the season. Should be really cool, actually, to see where these completely remade Bears are with all their free agent signings and new draft picks. And, I mean, they're a young team, comped with the Green Bay Packers' youth revolution as it has occurred. Going to be very interesting to see where these 2 teams are at, both week 1 and week 18. Of course, the only thing that you got to say there is week 1, they're still getting into the groove, and then week 18 may very well not matter so much in terms of playoff implications, or if both of these teams are done and out, whatever. We know week 18 may not matter, but still, it's kind of a cool bookmark. The next division team that I wanted to take a look at was the Detroit Lions. Yeah, week 4, at home, Thursday Night Football. That's cool. Week 12, in Detroit, Thanksgiving Thursday. What do both those games have in common? Yeah, they're both Thursdays. And before either of those games do the Packers have a bye. So that means that both times that the Packers go against a team that is probably the division favorite, they're on a short week. I don't love that. And frankly, from the NFL side of things, as with all this emphasis on like how they're scheduling Thursdays, right? They wanted better matchups this year. Totally get that. But like all the rules in place about like, you can't have a Thursday that then leads into this, that leads into this, that leads into like there's rules about Thursdays because of player safety. But just from a competitive standpoint, I don't love the idea of when you play a team twice in a year, both times it's going to be Thursday matchups. I don't really love that either. Because it just doesn't make a lot of sense. You're never going to see these two teams compete with an actual full-fledged week of dedication and study to just each other. And that seems short-sighted on the stance of the NFL there. Then, the other part, but I'm going to throw this in too. The NFL must believe that Detroit and Green Bay is going to be a matchup to watch this year. Because, they got one of the Thanksgiving games, and then the other one just happens to be national primetime, Thursday Night Football. Methinks the NFL is cooking up a little something there. Or maybe they think something. And then, of course, looking at the other one, the Vikings games. Now, the Vikings games kind of come off as not really mattering much, right? They're just kind of smattered in the schedule like any other teams. You got October 29th at home against the Vikings. But the one that could be a lot of fun, December 31st at Minnesota for Sunday Night Football. That's going to be fun if it actually stays there, but again, it could be flexed. Other little scheduling quirks that I just wanted to touch on quickly. Weeks 4 through 6, take a look at that part of the schedule. They're at home against the Lions. That's Thursday Night Football. Then they're at Vegas for the Raiders, and then they have their bye. Now, that's a lot of spacing between the games, right? To go from Thursday into a mini bye to then play on Monday into a full-fledged bye. That's a lot of time, right? If the Packers have got any injuries, they're going to get good during that time. But my concern is for a team so young, for a team that you really want to build in routine, habit. Once you get into the normal swing of things, if you've got a noon game and then a noon game and then a noon game and then a noon game, you get into this pattern of like, okay, Monday is always the day off. Tuesday is always rehab day. Wednesday is like install day. Thursday's walkthrough day. Regardless of what those designations are, it's always like the same thing day in and day out, and players can get used to that routine. Well, when you throw this in there with a Thursday and then a Monday and then a week off, it's not that. In fact, very early in the season, in the first quarter extended part of the season, the Green Bay Packers are going to take that schedule and just chuck it out the window because it's not going to matter for 3 weeks. And then they come back from their bye, and it very much matters as they have Sunday games 5 weeks in a row before another short week going to Detroit. So something to keep in mind. And then another thing that I wanted to point out was Dair on Twitter, Dair Carragher. He said that in the first 50 days of the NFL season, the Packers will play just 2 games at Lambeau. And again, it's partially because of that weeks 4 to 7 range, right? At Bears, at Falcons. Okay, then we got the Saints, week 3, game 1 at home. And then you got Detroit, week 4 at Lambeau. And then you go on the road for Vegas, then you got a bye, and then you go on the road for Denver, and then finally you're back home. So the first 50 days of the NFL season, they're going to have 2 games at Lambeau the first 7 weeks of the season. 2 games at Lambeau. Of course, the flip side of that is if you get a lot of your road games out of the way in the early portion of the year, you get to chill at home a lot in the latter part of the year, which for a team that may experience a surge in the second half may not be the worst thing. And then lastly today, I'm just going to leave you with this one message. Look, the Green Bay Packers, as we know, are transitioning from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. There are some Packer fans who believe that this is destined to be a 5-12, 6-11 year. It's a new team. They're rebuilding. That's the opinion of a lot of people. There's some Packer fans that are really optimistic looking at this schedule and going, that's 11-6 right there. That ain't so bad. That's like the easiest schedule they've had in years. Even with J-Love at the helm and all these young Packers. We can do that. Okay. Regardless of how you think they're going to do it. Oh, we're going to get into that. But regardless of how you think they're going to do, take this message away. The Green Bay Packers are one of the most popular teams in the country. And whether they have J-Love at quarterback or Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre or Lynn Dickey, the Green Bay Packers are a national draw. And it's evident. They got J-Love at quarterback this year. No one knows for sure how the Green Bay Packers are going to do. So they were handed 5 primetime games and a Thanksgiving game. And by the way, even one of those 5 primetime happens to be New Year's Eve, when I think viewership may just kind of sort of be high. So, no matter what your stance is, no matter what you think they're going 6-11, 17-0, whatever, we're going to do a video on that soon. Know that the Green Bay Packers are here to stay in prime time. Also, to echo that, keep in mind last year at the stockholder meeting, Mark Murphy said, hey, if we got a lot of noon games, probably means we're not very good. Well, I don't know about it's good or bad, but you may not be popular if you have a world of noon games. And, well, look at them Green Bay Packers go. Thanks for joining me on today's episode. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow with my way too early 53-man roster prediction. Have a great night tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, go Pack Go.